Welcome back. As business owners and entrepreneurs, have you come across situations where your competitors who sell the same product as you get more leads or more customers? Or their products are preferred more than yours by the customers? You must have also worried many times that you had to sell your products at a lower price in order to compete, and as a result did not make the kind of profits you would have otherwise wanted to. The answer to these, more often than not, lies with your or your business's brand strength and influence, and not anything else. In today's video, I will tell you how you should approach brand building for a strong brand and increase your influence with your customers. Hi, I am Kallol Chaudhary and I have spent more than 30 years working with big and strong multinational brands in several markets around the world. And I've associated with them to create and dominate new markets both on expansive as well as frugal budgets. Friends, I am on a mission to empower small business owners and entrepreneurs and enable them to live a life of freedom by assisting them to transform their businesses and achieve sustainable growth and scalability. My intention today is not to give you quick fixes for your brand performance. In fact, there are no quick fixes in the real business world. It's all about hard work, the right action and application. Rather, I will reveal the best practices that I followed and witnessed during my career that helped build and create strong brands. These practices also should work for you. There are 5 basic things that you must do to increase the strength of your brand and its influence. But before we get into these 5 practices, let us quickly understand what a brand is all about and why creating a strong and influential brand is important for your business. A brand is something that helps people identify a company, product, or individual. It is an expression of intangible value. We can't see it or feel it, but we can experience a brand. People often confuse brands with logos, trademarks, or slogans, and so on. These are simply but expressions of the brand and not the brand per se. A brand is actually much beyond these expressions or symbols. It means a lot more. A brand creates an experience of worth, of value, and of character. A commodity or a company or a person becomes a brand when all these qualities get associated with it. A brand creates an association with a customer. It creates familiarity with the product or service and is more recognizable and makes it easier for you to sell your products or services. A mobile phone is a commodity, but an iPhone is a brand. A light bulb is a commodity, but a Philips light bulb is a brand. People like Gary Vaynerchuk, Tony Robbins, who have cult following across the world, are also regarded as brands. In business, there are 3 kinds of brands. Company brands like Tata, Boeing, or Sony. Product or service brands like Apple, Google, Uber, and personal brands like, say, Elon Musk, Tony Robbins, Oprah Winfrey, or closer home, someone like Amitabh Bachchan. Being a small business, probably you are in a situation where your company is relatively unknown yet. You either sell your self-manufactured products and services or sell commodities or brands of other companies. So, if you want a brand of your own, you have 2 choices. The first, to be a platform brand like an Amazon or Snapdeal or Reliance Retail and sell products and brands of others, or become your own brand by selling your own products or services on the strength of your own reputation or capabilities. A normal approach is to start small and start selling on the strength of your personal brand. And as your business reputation and reach grows, you may then extend the association to your products or company. Of course, there's no hard and fast rule to this. You may always opt for a product or company brand from day one, if you wish. Only that as a small business, this may strain your pockets a little more. As a person who has started small, it may be comparatively easy and cheaper for you to start selling your products and services on the strength of your personal reputation and goodwill, especially within your local area or network. A friendly suggestion: go easy on your brand building spends until your business gains momentum in the market and you have enough money to spend otherwise. This brings me to the first point of the 5 practices. No matter which branding route you choose, you must clearly define what your brand stands for, what are its values, what it represents, and what is its personality. The most basic element of branding is truly understanding who you are so that you can align all of your actions and your environment. The deeper your understanding of values, vision, and other brand attributes, the better you will be in a position to align all the parts of your life consistent with your brand. Remember that you are the most important constituent of your branding approach or strategy. Now, how does a genuine and compelling brand start? It starts off with knowing your personal value proposition. You must know and understand. This means knowing what your customers need and how do you fulfill those needs. If you can answer these questions, your branding will be a natural extension from there. You need to ask yourself how you would like to be perceived by your stakeholders, customers, competitors, and sellers. Therefore, ask yourself, and this includes your employees, of course, what should you be doing? What market should you be operating in? How should you look? What should you communicate? What kind of products or services should you be offering and at what price points? What kind of people should you employ? What should be your behavior, your organization culture, packaging, etc., etc. Deciding this calls for a competitive audit, which I am going to discuss as a part of the next point. There is a crucial question that still remains after you have done all of this, and that is, why should your customers or your stakeholders prefer you and not your competitors? What will you be doing differently from others? Are you going to offer a unique product that no one has? Or will you offer an inimitable or rare service that your competition will find it almost impossible to copy? To determine what your brand's differentiating point will be, the starting point is to conduct a competitive audit. This simply means finding out what your competition does, how they do it, what resources they deploy to do it. You must find out details of your competitors' products and services, price points, whether they sell at a discount or at a premium, what sales and promotional strategies they employ, what quality, the quality and number of staff, the systems they follow, their delivery strategies, their productivity, profitability, where they source their products, what kind of packaging they do, and so on and so forth. Get as much detail as possible. A good way of doing it is picking out 3 to 4 of your strongest potential competitors and benchmark them to the maximum extent possible. After this, try to dig deep and find out gaps or flaws where you can pitch in your brand. In other words, look for blue oceans or white spaces, as it's called, where you can operate. After you have identified possibilities of white spaces, you need to then check for 3 things. First, are these choices consistent with your brand identity, what we discussed in the first point? Second, are these choices desirable by your stakeholders and customers? Third, do they fulfill their needs and address the customer pain points? Your final choices of your niche that will position you separately and distinctively from your competitors should be the best among the alternatives that match all these 3 criteria. I must tell you here that it is not absolutely necessary that you have a really differentiated product or service, but you must be in a position to create a clear perception of difference in some way or the other. Do you remember the iconic Maggi ketchup ad? I'm sure you do. This brand created a perception of difference just by emphasizing a single point, that it was different, and hence, as a consequence, gained a huge sales volumes and market share. Product wise, it was just a ketchup. Very difficult to differentiate from other ketchups in the market. Yet, the product was successfully positioned as a product that was different from other ketchup brands. Overall, this exercise of competitive audit may actually seem theoretical to a lot of you, but this is the most crucial and practically prudent exercises that must be necessarily done if you want to differentiate yourself from others and create a unique identity for your business. And as the owner, you must drive the audit yourself and not leave it to your employees. But if you have the means at your disposal, you may by all means employ a market research agency and do this exercise, but do it nonetheless. This exercise may actually go on to decide whether your business will be a leading and differentiated brand or will be seen as an also-ran type. The values the brand represents and its differentiation fires customer expectations. In other words, they create the brand identity and the brand promise. Now the next step, having defined your brand and how you will differentiate it is now action time. You must now address your target market with the message that they expect to hear, using distribution methods and mediums they like. In other words, how will you position your brand? It's a simple formula, but many do not follow it. See, your brand is your identity, and once you have that set, you must find creative methods of communicating and manifesting it. To communicate your brand and its message, you do not need to always advertise it. You must decide how you will communicate, whether through physical interactions, traditional media, or through electronic media. These days again, most customers consume social media, and you may decide to go through that route. You will also need to take a call whether you will communicate organically, which is literally costless, or inorganically, for which you will have to spend. You may also decide a mix of all these depending on what your message is, who you want to convey it to, and how soon you want to reach them. Whichever route you choose, there are three factors that are critical to your messaging or communication. These factors are truth, empathy, and trust. You must always be true to your brand values. Don't do anything that is just a shadow. Don't just put up a show or an act. Be true to yourself and in your intention. See, we frequently come across misleading advertisements or brands on the web. Tell me how you feel after buying that product and later discovering that it was all false, or the brand claim was based on a lot of conditions that you were never made aware of. Angry? Frustrated? Livid? You want to throw that brand away? See, truth generates sincerity, which cannot be exactly articulated, but it's always felt and perceived by the customer. Truth creates a belief and a zone of safety for the customer and puts them at ease. Empathy, on the other hand, is a vital factor that influences your customer's dealings and your customer's response towards you or your brand. It is the starting point of brand experience for the customer. Not only should you understand your customer's pain points, you must visibly demonstrate it through your actions and interactions with them. How can you help? How can you be of service? What can you do to provide comfort to the customer? Be genuine. Mean it. Promptness in solving the customer's issues or answering his or her queries or solving his or her problems also counts. When customers feel that you have their genuine interest at heart, you start gaining their acceptance and they also take a step forward to accommodate you. The third element is trust. It is possibly the most important of these three factors. You must deliver on your brand promise. Else, you lose trust and along with it, the customer forever. The Tata Nano, BSNL, Air India would be some examples of various brands that failed on the brand market. They finally could not deliver what they promised and so lost out altogether. They lost the game. One word of caution though. A brand promise creates expectations. So it's important to be seen as socially responsible, especially these days. So make promises that are responsible and only those that you can keep. Another aspect about building your brand influence is to build an image of authority for yourself. This is particularly true for small businesses who have still not made the mark. The customer is usually interested to know your point of view before they considering buying your product. Social media, blog posts, email marketing are excellent and effective platforms where you can articulate your point of view and engage prospective buyers and be regarded as an expert. Use these platforms liberally to your advantage and build your authority. Let the customer see you as an expert whom they can rely on, which in turn helps build your influence and the customer's trust in you. The next practice, which is the fourth practice that you must focus on, is your customer relationships and brand associations. Invest in engaging your customers on a regular basis and cultivate long-term relationships with them. For instance, invest in loyalty programs to keep your customer interested in your brand. Take feedback and share action taken on them on a regular basis. Especially for small businesses where personal branding takes precedence, customer relations are extremely vital in building your brand influence. Your relationships will ensure that you are on top of mind recall whenever the customer has a requirement. As an example, even in B2B tenders, particularly limited tenders, customers often call only those vendors to participate who they remember easily. Others are never called. Won't you agree on this? Your relationships give you an edge in negotiations and one tends to land more profitable and frequent orders generally when there is a long-term association. See, I used to work in a company where we had annual rate contracts with the automotive OEMs. The market leader always used to spend less time on negotiations than us and get a higher share of business, and that too at a 10 to 15% premium over us, just because they were a stronger brand and had better relations with the buyers. And if this can happen with big companies and brands, it can always happen with small businesses. So be invested in long-term and excellent relationships to build and sustain your influence. Having said this, your other brand associations are also very important in deciding your brand influence. You must choose your business partners and associates carefully. Their values should resonate and reciprocate with yours. In my experience, even a strong brand like Panasonic with excellent world-class products fares badly in terms of market share in comparison to its competition, only because its after-sales service providers in India do not live up to the expectations and standards set by the brand. And lastly, consistency is key. A good brand ensures performance or delivers on a consistent basis. It lives up to its promise, the expectations and the set standards day after day, year after year, and always. Consistency is like the flower that draws the bees to it. The day the flower stops producing nectar and withers, the bees don't come anymore. So be consistent, or else you stand to lose all your gains. A customer recognizes a brand because of its values and the promise it communicates. And he recollects or remembers it because of the engagement and experience it creates. However, the brand is revered or worshipped and becomes iconic only when both are done consistently. The brand performs or delivers on its promise and creates an experience through consistent engagement with the customer at the level as per the standards that has been set. One of the finest examples of this would be Apple, which has become iconic because of the consistent, high quality products it churns out over and over again, year after year. To sum up, in order to create a strong and influential brand, you must 1. Be clear about your brand values and what it should stand for and align everything in your business around it. 2. Your brand must be differentiated. It should deliver a promise that is unique and different from your competition. 3. Build your authority and communicate your brand message to your stakeholders in a way that meets their expectations. 4. Focus on your customer engagement, long-term customer relationships, and your brand association should be picked very carefully. And last, be consistent with your actions. Keep up to your brand promise no matter what. Remember that a brand has to have a compelling promise. How the brand is positioned should be consistent with its promise and the customer expectations. Truth, empathy, and trust are critical elements of your brand positioning and communication. And lastly, consistent performance of the brand on all its parameters is critical for it to remain relevant and in contention always. I am confident that should you imbibe and follow these best practices, your own brand will surely get stronger and will be able to increase its influence on your customers, and that in turn will have a positive and compounding impact on your sales and profit growth. If you have liked this video and have found its contents useful and actionable, please give me a thumbs up by pressing the like button below and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to set a reminder by pressing the notification bell below. I request you also to give me feedback in the comment section. Your encouragement and comments will motivate me in turn to come up with more videos and address practical and real business issues in the future. See you soon. Thanks.